Hello and welcome back to Alice Talks Football and welcome back to another live Manchester United news show. On today's video we're going to be talking a little bit about our 6-3 loss to Manchester City. Not something I particularly want to talk about, but lots of interesting things have come out after this game. What Ten Hag said in his post-match conference to why he's playing Casemiro over McTominay. Ten Hag actually came out and protected Ronaldo, saying Ronaldo doesn't deserve to be part of this humiliating team. But also, we're going to talk about what Ten Hag said to the Man United players at halftime. It's been revealed what Ten Hag has actually said at the United players at halftime to give them the kick up the bum. Because as some people are saying, if you want to look at it in the positive, Man United did win the second half as well. And I just saw an interesting chat in here right away saying Ten Hag got carried away playing McTominay, Eriksen and Bruno going against the threat. You need a solid midfield and defenders stop crosses in the box. Paul Scholes called it. And I have to say, when I first saw the McTominay, Bruno, Eriksen midfield three, when we first deployed it versus Liverpool, I didn't think it would work. And I never really thought it would work. But then we started winning games with it. And I would sit here and I'd defend Ten Hag and I'll go, I understand why he played that midfield three. They won games. They won 4 games in a row. We did beat Arsenal. It's good to be loyal to winning teams. If you drop McTominay for Casemiro, McTominay will go, but I played well. As Casemiro played as well as me. And, he could say that. But at the end of the day, one is Casemiro and one is Scott McTominay. And I think in a game like that, some people are saying the midfield lost us the game. If I'm being honest, I think everyone lost us the game in some aspect. I don't think there was a particular standout person. I thought David De Gea was awful. I didn't actually think Martinez and Varane were that bad considering we conceded 6 goals, but we did concede 6 goals. The centre-backs could have been a lot better. I thought the full-backs were poor. I did think the midfield was awful as well, and the attack weren't great, but the attack was partly starved because of the midfield. But I do think Jadon Sancho was particularly poor out of the attack, and I think going into the next game, I would probably play Rashford on the left, Antony on the right, and of course Martial up top. There was a lot of poor performances, but I do think the midfield was shocking. But I want to get into what Ten Hag said on Casemiro and Ronaldo, and then I do want to dive into obviously Ten Hag's post-match reaction. But Ten Hag spoke about Casemiro, and he said on the day we signed Casemiro, we did start to win. The team was doing well. It's not against Casemiro, it's for Scott McTominay. I'm sure he will be important for us in the short term, and he will find himself in the team, but it has to come in a natural way. So Ten Hag was asked about why he's not been playing Casemiro and why Scott McTominay started today ahead of Casemiro, and he's just saying because, he feels basically because we won, he's got to play Scott McTominay. And I get that Ten Hag's going to be loyal to his players and all of that, but when you have Scott McTominay, you have Casemiro, even if McTominay's played well, you've got Casemiro. He shouldn't be on the bench. You sign him to be that DM. And I think now that Scott McTominay's had an absolute stinker, I think Casemiro has to start versus Everton for me. I think we need more balance in midfield. But also, when we're playing Everton, we're not going to be counter-attacking Everton. We're going to be wanting to control possession. And I think we need Casemiro. I would really like to see a midfield three of Casemiro, Donny, Eriksen. But I think Man United need to play Casemiro, one of McFred, and then Eriksen in a more advanced role. I love Christian Eriksen. I think Christian Eriksen is an absolutely fantastic player. But I think, if he's more advanced, we'll get the best out of him. I think, you can play Eriksen in a deeper role when you're playing your Southamptons, you're playing your Leicesters, because he'll do a good job there. But I think when you're playing a team that's as dominant and as attacking as Man City, I don't think we can afford to be playing someone like Christian Eriksen in that attacking role, in that defensive role, in a game versus Man City. For me, he's got to be playing in a more attacking role. I think we should have probably approached the game. Now I think about it now, we're probably McTominay and Casemiro in midfield, or Casemiro and Fred in midfield, but I'd understand why we picked McTominay just on current form. And probably you'd want a Christian Eriksen in that more advanced position. And I think if I was to now reapproach the game and go forward and go back to Ten Hag before the game, I'd be saying, no, we're going to lose 6-3. It's going to be a bit open in midfield. I'd maybe drop Bruno and actually play Casemiro and McTominay. And I'd probably say, we need to be careful. We need to know that they're going to come at us. We need to change it. It's one of those. And I hope Ten Hag does change for Everton. Ten Hag's not obviously changed the lineup for 5 Premier League games in a row. He's been very loyal to that lineup. But Ten Hag said it's all about form and winning. If you win, you keep your place. Now that we've lost, I think that places will be changed. I do think, unfortunately, Malacia will be cut out for sure. I can see Shaw long-term taking Malacia's place. Varane is injured with a hamstring problem. Not sure how long he's going to be out. Hopefully not too long. So that is a chance for potentially Lindelof to get back in now, but potentially even Maguire. Apparently Maguire was smiling that we were losing 6-3, but that image is fake. So that people will try and... Maguire wasn't smiling. Maguire probably, deep down, is probably happy that we've lost 6 3 because we've conceded 6 goals. He's not playing, and he knows that they can't go and blame him. Because I know today, if Maguire was playing, he would have got majority of the blame. And I think it'd be unfair to blame one player for today when I think 90% of the team was god awful. I think the only bright spark in the team today was Anthony in the second half. My God, Anthony in the first half was rubbish. Second half, Anthony, soon as he scored that goal, he looked like a different player. But the real only bright spark in today's game was when Martial came on. He obviously got his 2 goals. Fucking brilliant penalty. Lovely penalty from Martial. But I want to get into what Ten Hag said at half-time. Ten Hag's revealed what he said to the players at half-time and more. So do smash that like button, guys, and of course subscribe down below if you're new. McTominay was awful. Maguire looks depressed at United. Maguire wasn't smiling like people are making out online. But to be fair, if I was Maguire, I'd be quite happy because we'd lost the game and the blame wouldn't be totally on me. And our midfield was totally non-existent. It was 100% non-existence as well. And McTominay needs to change back. Look, I understand why McTominay started, but 100% he needs to go. And sorry for you, Alice, but your team is too weak. You know what? Our team is not good enough. I think some of them, like me, I feel like I did start to believe that, this was a new United. I did start to almost get a bit of hope in there. I was like, oh, is United back? Is United back? I know that sounds silly, but we did win the game, and obviously. So we did beat Arsenal. I did get some hope that United were back and United are ready and all of that. And ultimately that has come to bite me. United are not back. United are not ready. United are not good enough at all. But let's dive into what Ten Hag's what Ten Hag's actually come out and said regarding the game and regarding what he said at half-time as well. But live videos are good on the same day as games, right after game. Yeah, I think if we have a late, like 8 p.m. game, I can't do a live show after that. But I will be doing, when we have 12 o'clock and 2 o'clock kickoffs, I will be doing a lot of live shows on Sunday as well. But you have to keep believing. You did not hear Ten Hag's press conference. The players have to believe they can win. Exactly. And let's get into Ten Hag's press conference and let's get into exactly what Ten Hag said, because Ten Hag basically said the players have to believe they can win. Ten Hag came out and said, and then Ten Hag did say what he said at half-time, which I want to get into. Ten Hag said, I am surprised why we didn't bring it on the pitch. I have seen a different team spirit and we did not look convinced. I have to talk to my players and find out why. So the first thing Ten Hag came out and said is that, he was surprised that Man United just didn't bring any fighting spirit on the pitch. He said, this isn't the team spirit I've seen in training. This isn't the team spirit I've seen in the last 5 games. This team did not look convinced. Ten Hag has said that he's going to have a meeting tomorrow and talk to his players and try and find out why the team spirit was missing. Try and find out what the issue was. Because Ten Hag said he can see there's an issue. When we lost to Brentford 4-0, Ten Hag called a meeting the next day because he wanted to get to the bottom of the issue versus Brentford. Ten Hag wanted to know what was causing the issues versus Brentford, what was causing the issues in the Brentford game. And just like the Brentford game, Ten Hag's come out and said, these players did not look convinced. I'm going to have a meeting tomorrow and find out why these players did not look convinced, try and find out why these players are going backwards. And the interesting thing that Ten Hag said, which I am going to get on my screen now, and for me, this is probably the most important thing Ten Hag said, because he's sort of talking about the Brentford when we're 4-0 down at Brentford half-time, but he said it was a little bit different to being He said it was a little bit different to being 4-0 down at Brentford to Brentford at half-time. Ten Hag said regarding this game, he said, if you don't fight, which we didn't, you're going to have a problem against Manchester City. This is different to Brentford. That day we didn't run. Today we wanted to run, but there was a lack of belief. So Ten Hag said, regarding his half-time team talk and the Brentford game, Ten Hag said this was very different to the Brentford game because this was just a pure example of United not really fighting. He said, we did run today. We were better than we were versus Brentford today, but, we did run, we did score goals. We didn't completely give up. We did come out in the second half quite well, and as some people would say, we did win the second half. But Erik Ten Hag comes out and says this pretty accurately. He said, if you don't fight, which we didn't, you're going to have a problem against Manchester City. This is different to Brentford. That day we didn't run. He's saying that the players didn't fight, and Ten Hag said, I want to come out and find out why the players didn't fight. I want to come out and find out why the spirit wasn't there, why the belief wasn't there. And Erik Ten Hag will be calling a meeting at Man United tomorrow to talk to the players, saying, why aren't we fighting? Why is there no team spirit? Why is there no belief at the moment? Ten Hag will talk to the Manchester United players about this, but he said it is different to Brentford because we're running today. And I think today there was a lack of effort, but it's very different because Brentford, there was a pure lack of effort. Players weren't running, players weren't caring. Today, I don't think the players tried or turned up, and I think it's unacceptable that in a Manchester derby or in any Manchester United game, players don't turn up, especially when you play for United and the occasion of a Manchester derby. But it wasn't that they would try; they didn't turn up and they were being lazy. It's that they didn't turn up and they lacked belief. And if we go back to that Bruno Fernandes interview, Bruno Fernandes said when he spoke about the Brentford loss and when he spoke about the Brighton loss, Bruno Fernandes came out and said, One of the reasons Man United was so poor against Brighton and Brentford was because we had no confidence as a team. The players lacked belief. When we went 1-0 down, we thought, oh no, here we go again. It's going to be like last season. And Bruno said that United have got a bit of a problem when they go 1-0 down because they kind of lack belief. They're not up for it. They don't believe in themselves. And he said, when you don't believe in yourself, you doubt yourself. And Bruno said, when he's lacking confidence, when the team's lacking confidence, everyone's scared to do the risky pass in case they give the ball away. And because that thought crosses your mind, you're more likely to give the ball away. Bruno came out and spoke about the psychological impact of last season because we kept losing games last season. And when we went 1-0 down to Brighton and when we went 1-0 down to Brentford, Bruno said it's a psychological impact that the team was scared to pass now. They're scared. They don't have that belief. And when you don't have belief, your passing will be worse. And I think that came off today. I think today, United should have had some confidence going in today's game because I think us as fans, I'm surprised that the United players didn't have any confidence going in today's game because us as fans were all saying, we do fancy United to win. We do fancy Man United to get a result today. We were all saying that. I was saying that and most of us were saying that. And I felt confident. I thought Rodri was out. I thought this is massive for United. Rodri is out. I thought we were going to win this game 2-1, 3-1. And, I'm surprised the players didn't go into this game with confidence, having beat Arsenal. Maybe the international break and the 2 games being postponed, obviously not momentum, but they went a bit shaky, these players again. And, yeah, they just weren't up for it. And I think it's weird that they lack the confidence and lack the belief today, having beat Arsenal, who are top of the league, and being the only team to beat Arsenal. I thought, us fans were confident. Us fans have gone behind the players. And, I think at the end of the day, I don't think there's an excuse for the players. I think, Ten Hag will try and protect the players. But I just think today the players didn't turn up. The players, they had too much of a break. They weren't matched up. They didn't turn up. And they went 1-0 down within 5 minutes. And I think there's a big problem with United going 1-0 down. Whenever we go 1-0 down at the moment, we can't get back into a game. We go 2-0 down. We go 3-0 down. We seem to get worse when we go 1-0 down. We seem to be a team that lacks belief. And maybe this is what Ten Hag's getting on. Because when we go 1-0 down, we doesn't seem like we're going to make it 2-0. It doesn't seem that, whenever we go 1-0 down, it looks more like we're going to go 2-0 down than make it 1-0. And maybe that's what Ten Hag's getting to. There's a severe lack of belief in these Manchester United players. And it's sad to see, Diaz and Stones didn't play as well. Man City missing a lot of key players. I mean, to be fair, Akanji was missing for Man City. Akanji was very good for Man City. I did think that today. And Sancho was very poor, sadly. I do like Sancho, but he is very poor at the moment. And how many games do Man United plan to not turn up for? Exactly. In a big game like this, the players have got to turn up. And I was very disappointed that a lot of Man United players didn't turn up today. And Ralph wanted to clear out as well. And I'm not behind the manager or players, says Alex Cole. Well, I'm fully behind Ten Hag. Look, Ten Hag has to take responsibility for today's loss. We lost a very embarrassing way. We absolutely got battered. We absolutely got torn apart. And Ten Hag must take some responsibility for today's loss. We at half-time, that midfield was getting torn apart. And I sit here and I do wonder, why did Ten Hag not even change that team at half-time? I do sit here thinking, how can Ten Hag not even give that team the slightest change at half-time? Because, my God, that midfield was awful. And, you have to give some blame on Ten Hag because you look at half-time, you look at that Man United midfield and you go, oh my God, how did that... I can't believe he kept the same midfield on in the second half. I cannot believe that midfield three saw a heck of a second half. And I do think that Ten Hag is at fault for that. I do think that Ten Hag needs to take some blame. That midfield three saw a second half. That midfield three, no way should have seen a second half. Because that midfield three was an absolute disgrace. They were absolutely awful today. They were being outrun by a Man City midfield missing Rodri. And I cannot believe they even got to see a second half. I genuinely cannot believe they got to see a second half because they were that bad. But they did. And for me, Ten Hag has to take some responsibility. I think Ten Hag was at fault partly for this loss because, you could see things weren't going right. You could see that things very early on weren't working. You could see the plan wasn't working within 15, 20 minutes. He didn't change it. And then he didn't really change anything at half time. He brought Luke Shaw on for Malacia, I think. He didn't really change anything. And that really got to me. That really annoyed me because you could see after 20 minutes now this game was going to be 2-3-0. You could see they were going to pump us. And Ten Hag, I think, is being a little bit naive. And I'm not here to slate Ten Hag. I fully back Ten Hag. You know me, I will fully back Ten Hag. I give Erik Ten Hag my full backing. I am a massive Ten Hag fan. You guys know that. And I will never be Ten Hag out. I think the players are a big problem. I won't turn on Ten Hag. But what I'm saying is, Ten Hag has to take some responsibility because we're here at half. He doesn't really make any changes. And that midfield that was dreadful, do go and see a second half. I did see a good tweet on Erik Ten Hag that I did want to show you guys. And this is what I stay with. Breezy said that Erik Ten Hag is 3 months into the biggest rebuild in the recent Man United history. He took over a squad that is responsible for this club's worst ever trophy drought in decades. He didn't take over a team ready to win or challenge titles. And although I will criticise Ten Hag today, and I personally believe that Ten Hag got things wrong, he got the midfield wrong, I can understand why Ten Hag would play the same lineup he played versus Arsenal. But also, you've got to look at the bigger picture if you are sitting here Ten Hag out. This is the biggest United rebuild in history, because the last season was our worst ever season, our worst ever finish, and also last season was our season when we had the worst ever dressing room problems in Manchester United history. You could say what you want about, Erik Ten Hag, you can say what you want about all the rebuilds United have been in, but Ole left this club in a worse state than he picked it up. Rangnick left this club in a worse state than he picked it up. The worst Man United ever were last season. And we've got to build on last season. And I think it would be very naive to go into this season and think that, now we've got Ten Hag and now we've got 3 or 4 signings, everything's going to be okay again. Because at the end of the day, the majority of the players that were core in our worst ever season are still at Man United, still playing for Man United. A lot of players that were causing dressing room problems are still at Man United. And I think, Ten Hag has got a squad that is actually rebuilding, a squad that is nowhere near ready, a squad with a lot of problems, a squad that hasn't won a trophy in multiple years, a squad that he's not even playing Ten Hag to. Ten Hag's not even playing the style of football he wants to. Ten Hag's had to adapt the style of football he's playing to suit the squad. Ten Hag doesn't want to be playing this negative, defensive, counter-attacking football, but Ten Hag's having to play that way because he knows that he hasn't got the players he wants in available yet to play the way he wants to play. That is why Ten Hag's doing it. Someone said, Chelsea fan here, but why is Casemiro not starting? Generally, because McTominay have been good the last few games, and Ten Hag thought it was unfair not to change it. But thanks for the super chat, mate. But you've got to give credit to Ten Hag because he's trying to do his best with a squad that is not ready. And this squad lost 4-1 to City, 6-3, 4-1. It's the same kind of loss. And we beat Arsenal. We've shown signs of positivity. We've shown signs of squad growth. We saw an improvement in Delo. We can see Ten Hag's building things. We do know that the players are buying into Ten Hag's system. The Man United players are really buying into Ten Hag's system. But there's a lot of problems there. And I think if you sit there being Ten Hag out, just look at this. He's only 3 months in. No manager's going to save the squad. We could have Pep Guardiola right now at United, and I still think we'd be having the same problems we've got now. I generally believe if Pep Guardiola was at United, we'd still be having the same problems. Alice, do you think Donny, Fred, Martial, Casemiro and Shaw should start next week, says Blade? Yeah, I do. I personally do. I would start those players as well. And have to remember, Varane and Malassi was sub before the second half, so they played a part in the no major subs. Yeah, there were a few players sub before half-time. And I do think we got better in the second half. And I do think Luke Shaw was actually all right as well. I'm a die-hard fan, but I turned the game off at 1-0. I could not see it. It was just going to be one of those games where it looked like a League Two side. Schoolboy errors, panicky passes from the start. It was a horrific game, I have to admit. It was. And I'm hoping Casa, Fred and Ronaldo start in the Europa League, says David. I mean, guys, please do smash that like button if you have not already. And, of course, subscribe down below to Alice Talks Football if you're new. Remember, I go live every single evening on the channel, keeping you guys up to date with all the latest Manchester United news, transfer news, updates and more. So do subscribe if you don't want to miss out on all the latest news as well. But F Ten Hag out. Ten Hag is the best thing we have at United, exactly. I do not understand, guys, and I will say this now and I'll say this again. I do not understand the Man United fans sitting here tweeting Ten Hag out. I do not understand how you can be Ten Hag out. Yes, it wasn't a great game. Yes, it wasn't perfect. 100%. Yes, Ten Hag, was naive playing that same midfield three. And yes, I don't agree with everything Ten Hag did this game. But you can't. I don't understand how you can sit there and be Ten Hag out after one loss. How can you be Ten Hag out? Ten Hag's got to deal with Rangnick's biggest mistake. And nothing has changed from last season. Same old shit, Things have changed. Things have changed. And I'm going to get into what Ten Hag said. Things have changed. Today, the United players lack belief, and today the United players lack confidence. But we saw aspects in the second half of what they can do when we got a hold of the ball. We know that the players do believe in Ten Hag. There was a leak that came out yesterday showing that the players do believe in Ten Hag. And Ten Hag did say after the match, Ten Hag also said this. He said, I will show my team tomorrow how we could have been on the front foot in the first goal and how we won the ball, how we could have created a chance, but we gave away the ball, and this is unacceptable. Ten Hag has said today, he said he's calling a meeting with the Man United players tomorrow. He's going to find out why they lack belief. He's going to find out what the issues are. You've got to remember with Rangnick and Ole, when we lost the game, when there were problems, Rangnick and Ole didn't want to deal with those problems. So they just said, we have the next day off to relax, get over the match. Ten Hag is a perfectionist. Ten Hag is like, why are we losing? Ten Hag is sitting here thinking, why are we losing 2-0? Why are we 4-0 down at half time? And Ten Hag has called a meeting tomorrow morning, and he's called an extra training session tomorrow morning with the United players because we're 4-0 down at half time, and he's going to say to them and pick out all their mistakes and say, this is what we should have done, this is what's unacceptable. But he's also said to the players, he needs to find out why they're lacking belief, why they're lacking confidence. Why is there a problem? We've just won 4 games in a row in the Premier League. We've just beaten top of the league Arsenal, and all of a sudden we go into a City game with no confidence and no belief. Ten Hag is very big on mentality, and players that worked under Ten Hag in the past at Utrecht and Ajax, players that Ten Hag used to manage, saying Ten Hag's biggest thing is winning mentality. One of the things that Ten Hag changes at every club he's been at is the mentality of players. And one of the reasons I'm so confident that Ten Hag is the man to turn United around, and while I'll never be Ten Hag out, is because he has a record of installing winning mentalities in teams. He has a record of rebuilding teams and changing their mentality. And what United need is not just a rebuild in terms of the structure of the club, ownership board, and buying some new players in. But we've had a big mentality problem at this club for the last 10 years because these players have constantly been throwing manager after manager after manager under the bus. You know, these players have constantly been leaking things, causing problems. There's a lack of mentality at United, and Ten Hag's made it clear he wants a dressing room of players that believe in himself. He wants a dressing room of players with an elite winning mentality. He's not going to stop to installs at United. And rather than just seeing that we lost and getting over the loss and giving the players a day off, he's forcing them to come in tomorrow because he's a perfectionist, Ten Hag, and he wants to figure out why. Why are we lacking belief when we've just won 4 games in a row? Why don't we believe we're up for this Man City game? Why aren't we trying? Why were the players not up to it? And Ten Hag is furious with the Man United players. And Ten Hag said this at half-time to the Man United players. He said, we've got a meeting tomorrow. I need to get to the bottom of why you aren't up to it. Why in a game like this, a stage like this, the Manchester Derby, why on an occasion as big as the Manchester Derby, do you not look up for it? You know, you should be up for the Manchester Derby. This is one of the biggest games in Man United's season. Every player should know the occasion of the Manchester Derby. Why are some of these players not even up for it? And that's what Ten Hag's angry with the players about. And that's what Ten Hag is trying to work with the players to improve as well. And Gavin says this game in terms of responsibility, 20% Ten Hag, 80% the players. 100% agree with that, Gavin. It is more on the players. Ten Hag will learn from his mistakes. Ten Hag's desperate to get to the bottom of mistakes, but this was on the players. And Erik Ten Hag is rebuilding, so we're not going to win every game. So Shane, spot on as well. And Carl says Ten Hag is not God. It's his first season. We are not going to win anything good with the Glazers still in charge. Glazers out. Not only that, we need to clean up with the players. 100%. Smash that like button, guys, if you are Glazers out. I'm Glazers out here, and I think the most important thing is getting the Glazers out. So do smash that like button if you're Glazers out as well. And difference between City and United is the ball, 100%. And the frustrating thing is City are miles ahead of us. And I'll tell you one of the reasons City is miles ahead of Manchester United is because City have a board. City have an ambitious owners, an ambitious board. They went and got Haaland. And, you know, Haaland only had like a £70 million release clause. But you actually look into Haaland, the wages they're paying him, the agent fees. Man City have gone out their way. And Man City are generally pumped 200, you know, like generally like 150 million into signing Haaland. Man City go and sign Haaland and go and sign this player. And then Man City can sell players like Jesus and Zinchenko, who are now part of Arsenal's team and important, and they're top of the league. The players Man City is selling can go and help a team win a Premier League. Because Man City are just bringing in the best of the best players, bringing in the best of the coach, spending money. They've got ambitious owners. And the real difference between Man City and Man United is the ownership. Today, on the pitch, reflected what the difference between the ownerships. The reason we were miles behind Man City today is a reflection of the ownership. Man City's owners have invested in making the club their best they can. They've made club success more important than economic success, whereas Manchester United have made economic success more important than on the pitch success. And today there was a massive difference between the two teams, and that difference within the two teams was caused by the difference within ownerships. And those Glazers, they must leave. We must get them Glazers out. And if you guys are Glazers out, smash that like button, because I'm absolutely fed up to pieces with this Glazer family. The fact that we are, you know, 6-3 to City, and 6-3 is flattering to Manchester United. I hate saying this, but 6-3 is a very flattering scoreline to us, because it could have been a lot worse. Because you know what? We were a lot worse than that. We should have lost that game 9-0. Honestly, that was how much they were over us. 6-3 was flattering. And I tell you this, we've conceded 10 goals to City in the last 2 games. We are playing Liverpool, and remember we lost 9-0 in aggregate to Liverpool last season. We've lost 4-1 and 6-3 in our last 2 games to City. That's an aggregate score of 10-4 to City. We're actually going and conceding that many goals. We're getting thrashed by Brentford, thrashed by Watford, thrashed by Brighton, thrashed by Liverpool, thrashed by City. And Man United getting thrashed is a common occurrence. Now, I know we've had bad periods under multiple managers, but I can't remember a time as a Man United fan when we've been losing that badly. I know when we've lost games 2-0 and 2-1, and we've had a lot of losses. But this is the Man United side that is actually getting humiliated. In the last year and a half, Man United have had more humiliating results than any other season in the last year and a half. We had 6-1 Spurs, 6-3 City, 4-1 Watford, 4-2 Leicester, 4-0 Liverpool, 5-0 Liverpool, 4-1 City, 4-0 Brighton, 4-0 Brentford. That is all in the space of less than 2 years we've had all those results. When it was bad under Fergie, we were losing 2-1 and 3-1 here and here, but we're never getting bad like this. And our owners have neglected this club for so long, neglected this squad for so long, and let so many problems be caused that we are actually a team that gets battered. It's embarrassing that we go to the Etihad and, they actually just laugh at us. The Man City fans are dancing and laughing at us. I'm a United fan. I cannot stand to see Man City fans dance around in the Etihad, laughing at us like we're some kind of joke. We're United. We're meant to be the biggest team in Europe. And City acting, City laughing at us like we're a joke. David said Glazers out, but we lost because City outplayed us in the first half, 100%. But the Glazers are the reason City are level to have us as well. They could have brought Haaland, Alex Core said. You know what the upsetting thing is? And you know what the thing that really kills me, actually? Is purely the fact that Man United could have had Erling Haaland. We could have signed Erling Haaland a very, very long time ago. That January with Woodward, when we signed Igalo, we could have signed Erling Haaland. Although I think if Erling Haaland had gone to United, we probably would have not played him, and he probably would have ruined his career, because that's what we seem to do with everyone. But the thing that really hurts is, as you say, we could have had Erling Haaland 2 years ago, and he could have never gone to Man City. If we're an ambitious club, we would have done anything for Erling Haaland. If we're an ambitious club, we would have invested in January. When Vlahovic, Diaz were all available in January and Rangnick was suggesting them, the board didn't even try. If Man United were a club that cared, if Man United were a club that actually gave the slightest fuck, we would have spent money in January and got Vlahovic or Diaz or Julian Alvarez in. That 2 Januaries ago, we would have got Casado and Haaland in. But they don't care. They've already said they're not spending money this January. And that is a disgrace. Because Cody Gakpo is available in January, and I think we need a player like Cody Gakpo. Don't you? He's got fucking 19 goal contributions in 14 games. How can the Glazers, after we get battered by City, we have 4 wins in a row? This is the problem with the Glazers. Man United win 4 games in a row. United win 4 games in a row, so the Glazers can already start coming out saying they're focusing on the next one when they're not focusing on January. We win 4 games in a row. It gets a bit quiet on the Glazers that protest. We're all happy. We're all back in 10-0. We beat Arsenal. The mood around United is great. So the Glazers go, yeah, we're not going to spend money in January. There isn't money to spend in January. Bullshit. There is money to spend in January. The Glazers don't want to spend January. But it comes out that we're not going to spend money in January, and the Glazers don't want to spend money in January. La-di-la-di-la. That all comes out. And for me, that's a fucking disgrace. Okay? But now we've lost 6-3 to City, we can actually see how far off we are. And how we will need to spend money in January. And Ten Hag came out after we played Sheriff and said, I want investment in January. Ten Hag publicly came out and said, I want investment in January. He said, if there's a player available that I want, hopefully we'll get them. I'm planning for January. I'm planning for the summer. And then 2 days after Ten Hag says he wants investment in January, Richard Arnold, disgraceful owner, disgraceful board member, comes out and said we're focusing on the summer. And basically says we're not going to spend in January. And right now, United will probably go into the January transfer window and not buy anyone. But Man City, if they get an injury, they'll be buying someone in January. And that is the difference between our ownership. We've had plenty of opportunities to strengthen this squad, but the board have never wanted to spend money in January windows. We could have had Haaland, and we didn't fight for Haaland. We weren't ambitious enough to get Haaland. There is just an absolute disgrace in the level of ownerships between United and between Man City. As well, as a fan, I do not accept the mediocre standards. I don't accept the mediocre standards either. I can't believe the standards of Man United have dropped so much. It's absolutely embarrassing. We could have got a Kanji too for well cheap. It's annoying how Man City managed to sign all these good players for good prices, and Man United spent hundreds of millions on crap. And do you know why that is? because they care, City. They get the best sporting directors in, they get the best talent they can find. When Man United decide to employ clueless bankers, why are we employing clueless bankers to do a job that you need to have a footballing mind for? It's absolute joke. It's an absolute joke as well. But I want to continue into what Ten Hag said. I want to get into Ten Hag's team talk and continue into what Ten Hag's really had to come out and say about the players. So Ten Hag also came out and said this. He said, the Man United players have to accept criticism. They showed against Liverpool and Arsenal when they perform as a team, when they bring belief on the pitch, starting individuals, we will show them, and you cannot deny. But what Ten Hag has come out and saying is, he's saying, you know, he was asked about criticism of United players and all that. Ten Hag also came out and said that these United players have got to accept criticism, they've got to deal with it. And you know what a big problem at Man United is, and Ronaldo came out and revealed this, is that there's a lot of players at United that can't accept criticism. And the problem is, one of them is Captain Harry Maguire. Harry Maguire, when he gets a bit of stick, he deflects it on everyone else. Harry Maguire is sitting there, putting his fingers in his ear. That's what Maguire's doing when he scores versus Albania. Maguire's going out in an interview saying, if I'd have been that bad, the manager wouldn't be picking me every week. Maguire's then getting people close to him to leak information that it's De Gea's fault and Varane's fault that he's been bad. And for me, that is disgraceful. And Ronaldo came out and said it last year. You know, when things started getting really rotten under Oli, Ronaldo came out and said there's a big problem at Man United in the sense of that a lot of players won't take criticism. Ronaldo said in his day, when you were a young player, you had to take criticism from the bigger players to learn from them. Ronaldo said when he came to United, you know, if Roy Keane or Gary Neville or one of the big players like Beckham criticised me, I'd want to learn from them. So I'd let them criticise me. But Ronaldo says now, when he criticises his teammates at Man United, he criticises them in a constructive way. He's saying you should do this better. And Ronaldo said when he criticised players, he says a lot of them, they don't like being criticised. And Ten Hag's saying that, you know, these United players have got to accept criticism. These United players have got to accept that they haven't been good enough and get over it and deal with it, which is absolutely spot on because they don't accept criticism. But he did say this team did show against Liverpool and Arsenal they can perform as a team. And he said, when this team performs well on the pitch, when this team brings belief on the pitch, every player that started is brilliant, and you cannot deny that. He said Ten Hag was then asked why did he play the same team, and Ten Hag said he was playing the same team again today versus Liverpool versus Arsenal because he can see that this team, when they play, and when they play well and when they believe in themselves, they are a good team, and you cannot deny that. They beat Arsenal, they beat Liverpool, but he said today this team needs to be criticised. This team wasn't good enough. But this team didn't believe in themselves, which you saw versus Liverpool, which Ten Hag's absolutely spot on for saying. Guys, please do smash that like button if you have not already. And of course, subscribe down below to Alice Talks Football if you're new. If you're new and want to stay up to date with all the latest Manchester United news, updates and more, please do subscribe to the channel to stay up to date on all that as well. We've got lots and lots to talk about. Thank you very much, Talks, for the super chat. Erik Ten Hag's stubbornness was full on display today. He should have started Casemiro and made changes. I agree that Ten Hag was partly to blame and he was very stubborn today as well. And Alf Ego says, but what can you do? A bunch of clowns. You can see who has passion and who loves the club and who doesn't. We need to get rid of toxic that were here under previous managers, says Alpha. We do have a lot of problems, and I think there's a lot of players that are toxic that United do need to get rid of. And it's the woke generation of millennial players. I say soft wet wipes, says Gavin. I agree. I think some of the players at Manchester United are soft. Man United have got a big problem because there's a lot of players at this club that are just soft, that cannot be criticised, think they're immune to criticism, and when you do criticise them, they go off and on one. Why am I being criticised? Why is this person criticising me? Why is this person criticising me? It absolutely infuriates me that, you know, these United players are soft. As soon as they get a bit of stick, they're doing their media spin, they're doing their PR spin. As soon as they get a little bit of stick, these players, it's PR spin, it's media spin FC. And this is unacceptable. Why is all this PR spin coming out? Why is all this media spin coming out? We're spin FC. And it's an absolute disgrace. It's an absolute disgrace. These players need to have a long, hard look at themselves and go, I deserve criticism. I haven't been good enough. I need to stop looking for PR online. I need to stop looking to look good online. I need to stop caring about my image. And I need to just focus on myself, give 100% of training and focus on how I do on the pitch. Because Ten Hag is fuming with those Manchester United players. Ten Hag laid in on them at half-time saying, why are you lacking belief? Why aren't you fighting? We're 4-0 down. Why have you given up? This is unacceptable. This is a Manchester derby. How dare you give up in a Manchester derby? And Ten Hag's absolutely spot on. How dare these players give up in a Manchester derby? And on an occasion like this, how can these players be giving up? It's absolutely embarrassing. You're giving up in a Manchester derby. You're not fighting. You don't believe in yourselves when you've won 4 games in a row. Absolutely embarrassing. Saying thank you for the super chat. You beat a poor Liverpool in a fluky win against Arsenal. Arteta will learn like Pep and not make the same mistake. Look, saying we did well to beat Arsenal, we did well to beat Liverpool, and I'm glad that Ten Hag did beat Arsenal and Liverpool. But today, Ten Hag was naive, and we lost to City fairly. But I do think United deserved to beat Liverpool. I do think that Arteta was naive, personally, myself, saying, and we're on 100 likes, guys. Let's push for 200 likes. So please do hit that like button if you have not already. Can we get 200 likes by the end of the live stream as well? And Duncan says, Alice, I think Ten Hag is ending Ronaldo. Why would you let him stay and be the third striker? Ten Hag would have brought him on. I don't know. Apparently, the thing is, apparently Ten Hag wanted Ronaldo to go. Apparently, Ten Hag actually wanted Ronaldo to leave in the summer, but the Glazers said no. Because the Glazers wanted Ronaldo to stay because of the commercial side, because of the shirt sales and all of that. Ten Hag said to the Glazers, I'm happy for Ronaldo to go if you bring me in a striker. That's what Ten Hag said. I'm happy for Ronaldo to go if you bring me in a striker. And the Glazers know that if they get rid of Ronaldo and bring in a striker, one, they've got to spend more money to replace Ronaldo, but two, it's the commercial side. They lose all that value of Ronaldo, not being at United. And the Glazers, Ten Hag was more than happy to sell Ronaldo this summer. Once Ronaldo announced that he wanted to go, and once George Mendes was looking for moves, Ten Hag said, fine, if Ronaldo finds a move, he can go, but I want a replacement for him. I want someone in to come in as a 9. And the Glazers said no. And this, again, is a prime example of, if we had good owners, we would have let Ronaldo go and we would have brought Striker in to replace him. However, Ten Hag did say, I didn't play Ronaldo today out of respect for his career. Ten Hag said, I'm not going to go and play Ronaldo in a game like this when we're 6-1 down, because that's not fair on Ronaldo. Ronaldo doesn't deserve to be part of a 6-1 loss to Man City. Ronaldo doesn't deserve to be on a pitch for that. Ten Hag did say, out of respect to Ronaldo, I'm not bringing him on when we're losing 6-1 to Man City. He that is his career. He doesn't deserve to be associated with that. And I also take that as something big. I actually do take this as almost Erik Ten Hag, and I do take this in a weird way. I almost take this as almost Erik Ten Hag coming out and saying Ronaldo isn't a problem. Ronaldo doesn't deserve to be part of this. I do take Erik Ten Hag's comments was almost Ronaldo deserves better than Man United. I almost feel like Ten Hag is saying Ronaldo deserves better than Man United. Ronaldo doesn't deserve this. I almost feel like Ten Hag has sympathy with Ronaldo because he is one of the greatest players of all time. The greatest player in my lifetime, I believe Ronaldo's the GOAT over Messi. Ronaldo's done so much for United. He's such a great player. And, he came back to United because he wanted to bring United titles and he wanted to bring United Champions Leagues. And last season, Ronaldo did everything. Ronaldo worked really hard last season, scored all those goals, and he got let down by his teammates. Thanks, Same, for the super chat. I heard Maguire's going to retire and following the butcher trades like Lissandro. Thanks for the super chat saying, look, the United defence weren't good today, but I thought that Lissandro Martinez is still a brilliant centre-back, and I can't wait to see how he does. But I will give it to you saying Saliba has been brilliant for Arsenal, but I don't know with Maguire, but I wouldn't be surprised if he left United in the summer. Glazers out, win, lose or draw. 100% agree. And David Shaw said there was no offers for Ronaldo. And I do think one of the reasons that Ronaldo was at United because there's no offers for him, because it was made pretty clear that Ten Hag was willing to get rid of Ronaldo. Ten Hag was willing to sell Ronaldo, and the Glazers stopped it because the Glazers wanted that commercial gain, from Ronaldo. And I do feel sorry for Ronaldo because, as I was saying, he scored 20 goals last season, Ronaldo, in our worst ever season. Ronaldo came to United because he loved United. Ronaldo came to United because he thought, okay, they finished second last season under Rolly. I want to, win stuff with United. He came back to United thinking we can win stuff. I want to win the Premier League with United. I want to win the Champions League with United. And last season, Ronaldo did his bit. Last season, Ronaldo went out there and he scored 20 goals in the worst United side in history when he was living off scraps, doing the graveyard shift at striker. And Ronaldo scored 20 goals and his teammates let him down. And I take Ten Hag's comments. I take the fact that Ten Hag came out and said, that Ronaldo doesn't deserve to be associated with this game. I take what Ten Hag's saying, Ronaldo doesn't deserve to be associated with the game on that. I really do take that. It's Ten Hag coming out and saying Ronaldo deserves better than this. And I feel Ten Hag feels sorry for Ronaldo. I feel that Ten Hag's kind of hinting that Ronaldo's been let down by his teammates. Because I think Ronaldo's been let down by his teammates, and I think Ten Hag knows Ronaldo's been let down by his teammates. And I think if you look into what Ten Hag's saying about Ronaldo, he's saying, Ronaldo deserves better. I think Ten Hag's sitting there going, Ronaldo deserves better than to be at United. Ronaldo deserves better to be part than to be part of this team because his teammates are letting down his legacy. Like, Ronaldo's not playing in the Champions League because his teammates are letting down his legacy. Like, Ronaldo should be in the Champions League. Ronaldo should be scoring goals. Messi's gone to PSG, and I know Messi's in an easy league, in an easy world, and the best team in the world in an easy league. But we've let down Ronaldo's legacy. He's come back to United. The Glazers, of all they care about is that Ronaldo's back at United and the commercial gain and benefiting of that. And they've 100%, we're ruining Ronaldo's legacy as a club. And it disgraces me that Ronaldo's not in the Champions League. It disgraces me that last season Ronaldo came back and we finished 6th. And it wasn't his fault. And Ronaldo takes a lot of blame for things that isn't his fault. And that really upsets me, if I'm being honest as well. Guys, please do smash that like button if your Glazers out. Let's get Glazers out in the chat. Do smash that like button if your Glazers out. Someone said sell Maguire, Rashford and McTominay. I wouldn't sell Rashford. I think he's been quite good as well. And it's good for Haaland to play in the Premier League, so Prem fans won't be calling every time Farmers League. I have to say, this thing about Haaland is I did not expect him to score. I knew he was good. I knew that he would score goals, but I did not expect Haaland to be this good as well. And someone said, now even after Haaland's contract expires, we cannot get him because rivals have to get Bellingham, Son. It's mad. It's mad. Man City will probably get Bellingham next, and the next big thing, and the next big thing as well. And big up Alice for going live after that shit show today. Someone said Varane is a fraud. Well, you're not a United fan. Varane's a brilliant player. Varane was only on the pitch for one of the goals because the second goal came when Varane was off injured. So Varane was only on the pitch for one of the goals today as well. And I'm not joking. I definitely can bring the best out of Ronaldo more than these Man United managers. I mean, I don't blame Ten Hag for not playing Ronaldo, but I don't. You know what? I'll be honest with you guys. I don't think Ronaldo's really going to work at United this season because I think the way Ten Hag wants to play, I do think he's going to be second choice striker behind Martial. I think Ronaldo will go in January, and I think he will go to Chelsea in January. And Headset says, honestly, this is on Glazer out. I told you, Alice, we should have get the pressure on Glazers out by stop buying their t-shirts, stop giving money to the Glazers. But it's that some deluxe Man United fans that don't care. 100% I agree. 100% I agree. We need to continue the Glazers out movement. I think the most important thing we can do right now as Manchester United fans, and I will keep relaying this, I think one of the most important things we can do as United fans is keep the pressure on Glazers out. We've got a lot of problems as a club, and it's very sad to see the decline of this club. And I'm very upset to see the decline of Manchester United and this club because this is the club I love. And we're nowhere near the level of City. And the only way we get our club back, the only way we get near the level of Man City, the only way we get near the level of our rivals is getting those owners out. It is getting those Glazers out. So we have to continue putting pressure on the Glazers out movement, 100%, keeping the Glazers out movement going as well. And Varane is not a fraud. He was not great today, but it was a bad day. Exactly. And Varane wasn't one of the worst players on the pitch. Sell Wan-Bissaka, McTominay, Rashford, Shaw, Martial, Lindelof, Landon Lowe. I think that's a bit aggressive. I think some of those players were all right today as well. And you are a fake United fan. That's apparently I'm a fake United fan. I'm Glazers out. I can't be a fake. Like, United fans need to contribute to the turf. The Glazers out and get your club back as well, says Daniel Fleming. And Gaz Elliott said, take Michael Knighton right now over the Glazers. I mean, I would take anyone right now over the Glazers. I would take anyone. But I do want to talk about some more stuff Ten Hag come out and said. I think right now, all I can think about is we've got to get them Glazers out. We've just got to think about getting them Glazers out. But Ten Hag said this, and I thought this was quite interesting. Ten Hag said, at half-time, we changed things and we changed the attitude. We saw a different Manchester United after half-time and we scored goals. We created some more on the ball and we were more brave. We came in the opponent's half and we scored 3 goals. So Ten Hag spoke about half-time, how we changed the attitude at half-time, how United were different half-time. And I think Ten Hag's spot on with this. I think we're absolutely dreadful. We went in 4-0 down at half-time, and Roy Keane's absolutely right. How is United for a second game for a second time this season going in 4-0 down at half-time? How is that allowed? How can these players even be letting themselves go in 4-0 down at half-time? Oh, one sec. One sec, I just need to reply to this. Sorry, but back to my point. Sorry, I don't want to wake my mum up. I'll get shouted at. But basically, we've gone down. We've gone in at half time, 4-0 down for a second time this season. Like 4-0 down, 4-0 down. for a second time this season. And Roy Keane is spot on. The United players are used to going in 4-0 down at half-time. Like, I can't believe that. We're actually used to going 4-0 down at half-time for those team talks. Like, when it's 1-0, surely we should be shutting up shop, concentrating. When United go 1-0 down, it's like we lose concentration and we're like, nah, let's just go 4-0 down. Let's just go 4-0 down. I think if Wan-Bissaka had a chance to play, he would have done better than Delot defensively. Same with Shaw. Too much hate. I agree that they get too much hate, and I do think that Luke Shaw is one of the most overhated players at United as well. And we got the Man United t-shirt on, guys. We got the Man United t-shirt on as well. And Ten Hag's half-time comment is delusional. It was City who took off the acceleration pedal. That's a good point. I do think, and I was talking to my stepdad about it, I think United were better in the second half. But were we better in the second half, or do you think that City just sort of took their foot off the gas? Do you think City were 4-0 up and they chilled? Because actually, when Martial scored those 2 goals to go from 6-1 to 6-3, Man City took all their best players off. They took Haaland off. They took Foden off. So, yeah, you can see it like that. But Ten Hag did say at half-time, we changed the attitude. And in Ten Hag's half-time team talk, it seems that he went in on the United players and he laid in on the United players saying, you need to change your attitude. You know, we need to score goals. You need to do better. And Ten Hag did say, you know, we changed the attitude at half-time. You know, Ten Hag did lay in on the Man United players at half-time saying, why do you lack belief? Why aren't you fighting? Ten Hag said to United players, you need to fight. You need to come out and fight. And Ten Hag said at half-time in his team talk, he was just focusing on changing the attitude. How can we make the attitude better? And all of that. How can we create more? How can we score more goals? But if I'm being honest, do you think we were better in the second half? Or do you sit there and think, oh, maybe it's because Man City took their foot off the gas? Did we get better? Or do you think Man City were just kind of like, you know what, we'll give them this. We you know, poor United, they've been through enough. We'll give them this. Because they took Haaland off and then we go into the game. And I think a lot of it was probably Man City taking their foot off the gas, which I think would be correct to assume that as well. United were not better in the second half. It was the substitution that went wrong. Laporte was lost in the game. And I think that's a solid point as well. And 4-0 down at half-time, bad enough. Twice in October, bad enough. Let alone twice by October. Exactly. Twice this season we've gone in 4-0 down at half-time as well. But 8-0 down a combined score is absolutely embarrassing. And the United players had an inferior complex audacious so-called Khan, I agree. And City took the foot off the gas. They have a busy schedule, especially in the UCL League. I think 100%. I think a big part of today was that Man City did just take their foot off the gas. I think we were better in the second half, but City did take their foot off the gas. I want to get into some more things that Erik Ten Hag came out and said. Ten Hag spoke about the players' lack of belief, and I think this is really big what Ten Hag said here. And I want to get this up on my screen, guys, because I think this is quite important. But Ten Hag here did come out and say, I also told the players, and this is Ten Hag talking about half-time. Ten Hag said, I also told the players about their lack of belief. I've seen some highlights. It was obvious we are defending not on the front foot. We let them play in possession. We were not brave enough. Made tactical mistakes, mistakes, and then you get hammered. And Ten Hag said to the players at half-time, he said, why are you lacking belief? Ten Hag saying, we're not defending on the front foot. Ten Hag said, we are letting them play. He said, in possession, we're not being brave enough. Ten Hag said, the reason we lost today and the reason we got hammered was because there was no belief. He said there was no belief in the players. He said he spoke to the players at half-time. He said he spoke to players at half-time saying, you know, we're massively lacking belief. He went on the players at half-time, but he also said, you know, everything Ten Hag had told them to do, we hadn't done in that first half. He said, you know, we weren't defending on the front foot. We weren't playing in possession. We weren't being brave enough. We were making tactical mistakes. On the ball, we were making silly mistakes. We weren't being brave on the ball. We were giving the ball away. And Ten Hag said the reason we got hammered today is because we didn't believe in ourselves. And because we didn't believe in ourselves, when we got the ball, we were giving it away sillily. Every time we got the ball, we didn't believe in ourselves and we were giving the ball away sillily. And when you play a team that's as good as Man City, when you play a team with just as amazing as Man City, with the ability that Man City have, you cannot afford to keep giving them the ball. You cannot afford to keep giving them the ball because that's an absolute joke. Like, we cannot be giving the ball away to any team like that, but especially a Man City side, constantly giving the ball away to that Man City side. Like, we know how good they are, and I can't believe they're out here giving the ball away to this Man City side. Yeah, no, 100%. Was not good enough as well. And not blaming Rashford, but I don't think he should have started. Rashford didn't look up to it. Rashford didn't look 100% fit, and I will agree with that. I don't think Rashford probably should have started today. And Haaland hates Man United because of his dad and what United did to his dad. Do you know what actually got me? Was Haaland and his dad all happy celebrating that we were 6-1 down. They looked too happy. I didn't like it. I didn't like it in the slightest. And my weekend has been a good one. But United ruined the weekend. But here you support Arsenal, so your weekend's been great. And Everton away is the next game. Yeah, let's have a look at the next game. So Manchester United. Our next games. Oh my God, why is it so zoomed in? Jeez me. So our next game is Omonia. Well, I don't even know if that's how you pronounce it. Everton. Then Newcastle, then Tottenham. Newcastle and Tottenham will be hard. We've got Newcastle, Tottenham, Chelsea. That's going to be difficult. Although Chelsea's postponed apparently. And then we've got West Ham, which will be difficult. And then we've got Villa. And then we've got some easier games. We've got Nottingham Forest, Wolves, Bournemouth, which will be easy. But obviously, yeah, there's a big break here. Fulham. We don't have any easy games to really after the World Cup. But at least we have Nottingham Forest, Wolves and Bournemouth to warm up for City and Arsenal after the World Cup. And then we've got Palace, we've got Leeds. But no, we've got some difficult games coming up. But yeah, it's not the belief, lack of quality up front and the mid except Eriksen. Yeah, I think Eriksen was poor today. And United ruined my weekend, but Shaw would have not been vibing on this conversation. It wasn't for United. But guys, look, I'm going to end the live stream here because I can't be loud because my family is asleep. So Wolves did sack their coach, as Steve said. Please do subscribe because I will be back live tomorrow. Keep subscribing, keep smashing the like button, keep sharing the video. I will be back live tomorrow with a live stream. So thanks everyone for watching. Please do smash that like button. Please do subscribe down below to Alice Talks Football if you're new. I do go live every single evening on the channel, but I've got to end the live stream a little bit early. So we got everyone watching. See you next time. Bye.